Go interactive with X-Ray, where we bring trading experts to you live in the platform. Choose sessions, watch live market analysis, and catch up on your favorite market insights anytime. Ask questions and go one-to-one with leading experts on gold, oil, FX, crypto, indices, and equities. X-Ray, your very own analysis team, right at your fingertips. That's higher trading from MarketsX. Discover how some of the top executives are trading their own companies with our Insider Trades tool. See who's been buying or selling stock and what their trades say about insider sentiment. Use this unique big data tool to make more informed stock trades. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
What's happening, beautiful people? How is everyone doing today? Do you know what messes up your Friday? Realizing it's only Tuesday. Good day, good morning, good afternoon, everyone, wherever you are. Let me know how you're doing in the comments box below, guys. And if you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, and support us in delivering more great content. We started the week with little movement on the markets as traders were more focused this week on the two-day Fed meeting that starts tomorrow and the earnings season rather than trading the good old Euro-US dollar. Crude oil saw small gains today ahead of the OPEC Plus meeting, and most likely the topics will be policy on production after his technical experts projected a strong recovery in global oil demand this year. However, they also noted that the outlook was clouded by resurgent COVID cases, primarily in India, which is now facing extremely high death toll and new daily infections. More about this topic in just a minute with my guest for today, Mr. Brad Alexander, CEO at FX Large. Stay tuned. Right, guys, and as promised, we're going to see what's hot in the markets today. I have a very special guest with us, Mr. Brad Alexander. Very good afternoon, Brad. How are you?
I'm good, Andrew. Thanks for having me back. Great to be here. Good to see you again.
Thank you so much for accepting the challenge, Brad. How is the situation where you are, Brad? Still in lockdown?
We can't leave the province. It's really funny. I live in southern Spain. I don't want to go to too many personal details, but my wife and I wanted to go to Gibraltar. And we said, well, you can't because you can't physically leave the province. So even though Gibraltar is in a much better state, so we can travel around. We have to wear masks outside. But the good news is since we last spoke, the vaccine has been ramped up. In fact, I've had my first shot, which we're quite pleased about. I think my wife is getting hers next week or the week after. So it's improving for sure. And they've relaxed the restrictions on restaurants. They're open a little later now. We no longer have non-essential goods not for sale after 6 o'clock and things like that. So it's getting better. Again, this is Spain. I mean, I can't say the same for France, which has gone into lockdown, and various other countries in Europe. So it's optimistic. Obviously, from a personal standpoint, I feel positive that I've got my first shot of vaccine. I don't know if I told you, my wife and I actually had COVID. We didn't realize it. We found it by accident. And fortunately, we had no side effects. Post-COVID, it's been difficult, though. So every I don't want to go into details, but every little thing is amplified. If you get a pinprick on your finger, it hurts and takes 3 times longer to heal, things like that. But other than that, we're getting on with it. So.
Well, okay. Well, congratulations on the shot. First of all, I'm looking for ways to get vaccinated as well. I am pro-vaccination. I'm looking for ways to get vaccinated. But in Cyprus, we entered the 4th lockdown just a week before Easter. It's gonna last for a couple of weeks. Non-essential shops and businesses are closed again, as the COVID infections ramped up in the past couple of weeks. But hopefully from the 10th of May, things will get back to normal. And we should have more vaccines and more vaccine places where people can go and get vaccinated. Now, from our last chat, Europe seems to have picked up vaccination with 29.3 doses per 100 residents, which is still embarrassing in comparison to UK and the US, which are vaccinating over double that amount per day. Not to mention Israel, which already reached immunization by vaccinating over 51% of the population. Why do you think is the European Union still finding it so difficult to pick up the pace, Brad?
It's like we talked about last time. I mean, if you look at Israel, UK, US, they have, I mean, especially the UK and Israel, they have one system of medicine, whereas in the European Union, you've got to deal with 27 different countries and 27 ministers of health. And in fact, I lied. I understand Belgium has 9 ministers of health. So you've got a lot of bureaucracy and whatnot, and you've got very different circumstances. As you said, you're in lockdown. We are not. Spain is not. France is in a serious situation. So you've got all these different mechanisms trying to coordinate and communicate. And don't forget, we just heard this week that, or maybe even last week, I think, that the AstraZeneca have fallen way behind on their shipments. I mean, that clearly doesn't help. I know in Spain they're doing Pfizer and AstraZeneca. I had AstraZeneca. A lot of people who are younger than I think they're doing 45s and over now are getting Pfizer. So, you know, it's the same story. It's just a lot of bureaucracy. Clearly in the United States, I know they have individual states, but they've been preparing for it and doing it. I mean, literally stadiums of people injecting, and you drive through. Yeah, I mean, here in Spain, it was incredibly bureaucratic until somebody found a loophole, and bang, we all went. So it's it comes from the top. You've got Joe Biden said, let's do this and let's do that, and the states fell in line. Ursula von der Leyen is doing her best, but again, as I say, she's got a lot of layers of countries below her that are trying to do what they need to do. So it's the same story. All I can say is that I feel and I see from the news it is getting better. Let's just hope it keeps moving up.
Yeah, looking at the charts as well, we can see an improvement, but still 29.3 doses per 100 people for the European Union. Yeah, which is at the very bottom in comparison to 69 doses per 100 from the US and 69.2 per 100 from the UK. Now, one of the issues that I found that might affect what's happening in Europe is that the 27 member states, they all speak a different language.
Yeah, of course.
And when you have the Eastern European bloc, going to Brussels, and they need translation because they can't even speak English or French, then they need a translator. They're gonna get whatever information they can understand from there, and then they're gonna go to their governments and pass it to their governments. It's, I'd say, borderline ridiculous if someone that doesn't speak either English or French, goes and represents a country in the European Parliament. This is one of the issues that I found.
It's another layer of whatever you can call it, bureaucracy. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the European Union has been around for a long time, and they've had to deal with multiple languages for forever. But yeah, I can see that getting in the way. Again, I'm in Spain. Everything's done in Spanish. It's been, I shouldn't say seamless. That would be a lie, because it just took a long time to kick in. But no, it's a good point about the multilingual issues, where the United States, Israel, and certainly UK don't have those problems. It's like
they all speak English.
Yeah, they all speak English. So yeah, you're good point.
Do you see tourism recovering this year in Europe, Brad? Honestly.
Well, it's interesting what's come out this week and last week. Ursula von der Leyen talking about allowing, especially American tourists, into the European Union for holidays if they've been vaccinated. But the caveat is if they've been vaccinated by a European Union approved vaccine. And here we have an issue where, wait a minute, if you've got obviously we've got AstraZeneca and Pfizer here. They've got Johnson & Johnson, which I don't think has been approved in the European Union. That I could be wrong. And then there's the issue of how do we prove it? What's your passport? I mean, I've had my vaccination. I'd like to know, how do I prove it at the border? If I want to go back to the UK, which I can't right now, for even a day or a quick trip, I have no clue as to how I'm going to prove that I've been vaccinated. So all these things to be sorted out. And then, as you alluded to, another multilingual issue. So I see something happening in terms of tourism. I don't know if it's going to be as ample or as complete as they'd like it to be, because you've got a lot of bureaucratic issues. And even then, even though you've got the vaccine, you're going to a place like France, which right now is in lockdown, you still have the chance of picking it up and taking it back home and spreading what you bring with you. And we all know now, sadly, there are new variants coming around. So all we can do is get on with it. The governments have to give it their best shot, and just
literally.
Yeah. To answer your question, I'd say yes, but I don't think it's going to rebound to the point where they'd like it to, for two reasons. One, the bureaucracy of proving the vaccine, having the wrong vaccine, and just fear. If you're an American, been vaccinated, do you want to get on a plane and travel to France for a holiday? I don't know. And a lot of people will say, fine, let's get on with it. Others will say, no, I'm staying here this year and we'll wait till next summer.
Yeah, funny enough, we have an issue like this in Cyprus because Cyprus population did not manage to get vaccinated as they should. And they were talking about allowing UK tourists to come to Cyprus. One, we're in lockdown. Two, the majority of the population still didn't have the vaccine. And from what I've heard on the news, the majority of the population don't want the vaccine because it might come from Satan or God knows what.
Yeah,
I don't see it fair to that country to go there as a tourist if I'm still in lockdown, or if half of the country is in lockdown. What am I going to do?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, as a tourist, I'm not sure I'd want to visit a country that's in lockdown, because we have all lived it. Say, well, you can't go to the beach, you can't hang around the pool. If you got kids, you can't buy a sun hat after 6 o'clock. I mean, every country is different, but yeah, you're absolutely right. A lot of people will say, well, the heck with it, I need to get away. I mean, a lot of people just simply need, especially if you're in the UK, in London, living in a small flat or whatever, you may just want to get the heck out of there. Even a hotel room would be an improvement. Yeah. So it's we'll have to see. And again, the airlines, it'll be a lot of. I mean, I'm sure I know they are preparing. How are the airlines going to cope with all this? And the airports have to test or prove or check vaccine records and so forth. So it's all going to be interesting. I mean, I've been, as you do, I watch Bloomberg as well, and they're saying the same thing that we're about to talk about, is that getting the tourists back moving again is great for various reasons in various economies. But when business travel kicks in, that will spur a lot of things. And I see a lot of people who are getting back, even friends on Facebook, who are now traveling on business again, just going to see clients, whether they go by train in Europe or flying somewhere. I see news reporters actually able to fly to locations now with their camera crews and are able now to do reports live. And they say, well, this is fantastic. I'm back doing my job. So, we're getting there. But it's like anything. We have to be very careful not to open Pandora's box and have another variant rip through the entire planet again. So
true. Very, very true. Now, commodities. Let's talk about commodities, because we have something going on the markets this week. I can't pinpoint it yet because we had a very slow markets open yesterday, and it seems to be frozen today as well. But we see crude oil finally moving above the $61 mark. It took quite a while to get there. The global COVID situation still puts pressure on global demand, but at the opposite pole, we're going to see copper, soybeans, wheat, and corn, the soft commodities, trading near their highest in 9 years. Now, do we have any possible direction for crude oil this week, Brad, ahead of crude oil inventories?
Yeah, well, don't forget as well, we have OPEC tomorrow as well.
Yes,
and right now, in theory, and you can see right now on your WTI chart, and if you check your Brent crude, there's a very nice looking double bottom happening there, but price is stalling off to the right of it. But of course, as I tell my students, fundamentals take priority over, exactly, you've nailed it, take priority over technicals. And the fundamentals right now, again, are two things. Right now, India, which is obviously a massive country, huge consumer of commodities, especially oil, is in serious trouble, and that's going to that is affecting the demand and even the psychological aspect of it. And again, as I say, OPEC. So OPEC will have to take into account production levels based on what's happening in India. So we won't know about production levels until tomorrow. And it's easy to say, okay, well, wait for good news out of India. Well, let's face it, they're in a dire situation in terms of what's happening with their hospitals and oxygen supplies and so forth. It's quite sad.
Which oxygen supplies, Brad? Because they don't have any oxygen supplies. This is the problem.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been watching. I watch Sky News and Bloomberg, and it's extremely sad. And I've got friends in India, who are basically staying inside. In other countries are saying, "Hey, we'll give you oxygen," which is fantastic. But it's almost too little, too late. It's just clearly bad planning, and we can debate that till the cows come home as to why they're in this situation. But anyway, getting back to commodities. So my feeling is OPEC tomorrow will give us direction in terms of production and the state of, as we just talked about, air travel. If it increases for business and tourism, will obviously propel demand for oil, and the state of the economy in India. What you said about copper is interesting. I mean, when we see the price of copper going higher and higher, because that is the global barometer for a good economy. If the price of copper is high, that means people are building stuff, people are making things. Especially in places like China. So it's always good to see copper moving up, because copper is not an investment vehicle. It's actually a physical thing that people use to make stuff. So if copper is on the way up, then it's a good sign for the economy.
We saw soybeans, we saw corn, we saw wheat reaching 9-year highs, which again reminded us how important soft commodities are for the entire world, because people seem to be focusing too much on oil, gold, silver, and
exactly. But don't forget, agricultural, because of the pandemic and lockdowns and social distancing, are becoming more difficult to process and harvest. Without going into details about every crop, you look at meat packing plants all over the world, and it's very difficult to social distance in a meat packing plant, but they have to. So therefore, certain prices to the consumer and to the distributors are going up because of that. So that's a different story, about commodities. You're absolutely right; they are going up, but for different reasons.
Let's get back to crude oil WTI for 1 second. Sure. I have the Fibonacci retracement tool on the charts. We can see it now pushing through the 0.5% retracement. If this level will be broken, then probably traders will set their take profit targets towards the 63.50, or why not the $64 mark.
Yeah, exactly. As your chart shows, it was there just recently. And again, I'm looking at technically, if you want to go technical, I'm looking at the double bottom. So we've got Fibonacci, we've got a very nice level of resistance, and we've got a very sexy chart pattern there. And you're absolutely right. The next layer of consolidation is in the 63s. And price could go back to 64 and higher. And again, it's going to depend, as we keep saying, on OPEC in India and air travel again. So let's see what happens. But
what's your view?
I've got students who are looking at these things on. I say don't get into it until we break resistance. Right now you've got a whole load of candles there doing railroad tracks, as we say. Don't jump in until you know what's going to happen. And I'm telling people, you need to wait until at least tomorrow to find out what OPEC's going to do on oil. Yeah,
an early entry could lead to a bit of a drawdown on the.
We're professionals. That if you don't, that's gambling. You're not here. We're not here to gamble. We're here to make educated decisions.
Exactly. What's your view on gold futures this afternoon, Brad, or for the week? Usually, when we see the dollar index dropping, gold futures push up. But lately, the DXY drops, and gold either follows or keeps steady. This is the US dollar index. Now the charts seem to be recovered. We're looking at the US dollar index in a strong downtrend for quite some time now. And we're looking at gold futures in a bit of an uptrend, even though yesterday they've been raging quite a lot. What's your view on gold for the week?
It's interesting. Some central banks are getting back into buying gold again. I understand China as well is returned to buying gold. The price of gold, and again, we all talked about this beautiful double bottom on gold with a couple of weeks ago. And again, I said to my people, don't get in until it breaks. And the price of gold actually dropped because it was ranging a bit. Then suddenly the bond market in the States went crazy. Gold shot up, and we had Joe Biden introducing sanctions against Russia. So those three factors: central banks buying gold, the bond market yields going up, and the sanctions against Russia shot the price of gold back up again. Price of gold came back down a little bit because the bond yields eased up a bit. But as you say, because the the US dollar is getting weaker, we trade gold in pairs with the US dollar. It's still maintaining its strength. But if you saw my video this morning, if you look at the daily chart on gold, we're about to hit a trend line. You can see it there. So in fact, it has reversed a little bit. So the way I'm looking at it is it's hitting a trend line. You've got the RSI there, which is quite high. It's into overbought territory. I use the similar stochastic oscillator. So I've told my guys, wait for a firm bounce off that trend line on the daily chart, and wait for stochastics, or in fact, your case, RSI, to give us some indication that we're going back down. The only question I've got is which central banks are still buying gold.
That's a good question.
And I see as well the US dollar stabilizing a little bit and we're going to talk about this in a minute, until we get into what the next phase of the American infrastructure plan. The price of the US dollar could get weaker still. So
they want the dollar to be weaker to facilitate imports, exports, and all that. So looking at the gold charts on a daily chart, you were right. I can see the double bottom over there, and there is potential to the upside towards the 1,815, somewhere there. We might see a retest of that 200 moving average, and from there on, only God knows. We're gonna have to wait and see where do we take it from there. But gold and the US dollar index are not all for the week. Okay, we have the earnings season at its peak, and apart from commodities, the week ahead is a major one for corporate earnings, with around 180 S&P 500 companies, including 10 Dow Jones Industrial Average components, set to update investors on how their business performed during the last 3 months. What do you reckon, Brad? New all-time high for the S&P 500 and the Dow, or we're looking at a correction?
I personally, I think it's going to keep going, and the reason is that because the global economies are still recovering, and the more we recover from COVID, the more trade we're going to see. And again, we now have a stable entity in the White House, in the executive branch, which is already looking at serious things like the U.S.-China trade relations, green initiatives, global warming, all the right things, which are going to be positive for corporations. And obviously earnings, you're absolutely right. Good earnings will help the indices. But more importantly, once the earnings season is over, everybody breathes a sigh of relief and gets back into looking at where they want to invest, buying the dips and so forth. I've been following, as you are curious, why the NASDAQ hadn't kept up. Well, it has caught up now. The NASDAQ has caught up with the other indices. So you talked about resistance on the DJI. I can see us breaking resistance and just going higher and higher. The only thing that I see that might slow down investment in equities in the United States is these new rumors about capital gains tax on the top earners. That may slow down and may cause some selling if this moves forward. A lot of investors are saying this ain't going to happen. It'll never get through Congress. So that, as you say, we're going to wait and see about that. Everything else, I see, again, global recovery from COVID, getting through the earnings season. I just see more positivity, and there's a lot of cash out there. And people are going to be investing it because interest rates are so low, as you know. They need to put their money somewhere, and I see the American indices especially recovering.
Yeah, but people also know that.
I say recovering, carrying on. Yeah.
People know about interest rates. One thing, when they're low, it's good, but eventually they're going to go up, and they're going to be in trouble. Then it's a cycle that repeats every 5 to 7, 8 years.
It is, but even the Fed aren't talking about interest rates until 2023 now.
Let's see what Powell will say.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and don't forget as well, there's going to be massive amounts of sovereign debt coming up, and the last thing they want to do is raise interest rates to make it worse for themselves. I mean, that would be, just a devastating thing. I mean, it's between a rock and a hard place with, investing. And something very curious is happening in the States right now is that Joe Biden wants to invest $80 billion into the Internal Revenue Service because they figure they can get back $800 billion in lost taxes. So, and again, this sort of thing may weigh on investors when they're thinking about investing in equities, but it's months away. We need to see what's going to happen. And in the short term, I see indices carrying on unless we have some really, really bad earnings calls coming up in the next little while, but I don't think we will.
Check this out. I've noticed something. So we see the Nasdaq pushing forward. We see the S&P 500 pushing forward, but have a quick look at the Dow Jones. Is that a triple top or am I blind?
Yeah, I see it too. And it's also, we've got lower highs. Yeah, what can I say? I mean, I always say the fundamentals outweigh outweigh the technicals. And we still got a bit of a way to drop to the next level of support around 33,800. Thereabouts, 33,700, yeah. So let's see. And again, you know how they've been the last a little while, by the dip. I mean, the COVID was one of the biggest dips in history, and people did, a lot of the big hedge funds say, "Thank you very much, thanks for the bargains," and they just piled in because they had faith. Guys like Bill Ackman had said, "I've got faith in the economy. I'm buying." And everybody followed suit, and it's going to happen again unless we have another massive surge of coronavirus, and fingers crossed that won't happen. And I very quickly on equities, I see the Ftse 100 recovering as well. I mean, you still have the pressure of the pound on the Ftse 100, but it's been slowly creeping up over the last few weeks, and that to me is encouraging. It hasn't come back to pre-COVID levels, and the main reason for that is the pound. I mean, we all know if you're trading UK equities, most of their income is based on foreign earnings. So if the pound gets stronger, their foreign earnings relatively become lower. So therefore, the share price, but at least it's creeping up. We've got there we go.
That's the pound.
So we know what's happened. We know what's happened to the pound since Brexit. It's just getting higher and higher. So that's affected the Ftse as well. So.
All right. Great market talks as usual. We're gonna have an interesting week. As I was saying yesterday, it doesn't matter how you start the week; it matters how you end it and how fast. So let's see what's gonna happen. Big names reporting today. Before and after market close, we're gonna have Starbucks, Visa, and AMD set to report after the closing bell, while Amgen, Texas Instruments, Eli Lilly, General Electric, and Ethereum will report prior to the markets open. We are exactly 1 hour away from the U.S. markets open. Brad Alexander, thank you ever so much for finding the time to be with us today. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, thanks for having me. No problem. I enjoy this, and just give me a shout whenever you want me to jump on. Thanks, Andrew.
All right. Thank you so much, Brad. Have a good one. Right, ladies, gentlemen, traders, we had Brad Alexander with us, CEO at FX Large. We're going to take a 1 minute break, and then we're coming back with the charts of the day and the pre-US markets open. Stay tuned.
Go interactive with X-Ray, where we bring trading experts to you live in the platform. Choose sessions, watch live market analysis, and catch up on your favorite market insights anytime. Ask questions and go one-to-one with leading experts on gold, oil, FX, crypto, indices, and equities. X-Ray, your very own analysis team, right at your fingertips. That's higher trading from MarketsX. Discover how some of the top executives are trading their own companies with our Insider Trades tool. See who's been buying or selling stock and what their trades say about insider sentiment. Use this unique big data tool to make more informed stock trades. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
Boom, and we're live. What's happening, beautiful people? Good afternoon, everyone. Did you hear about the claustrophobic astronaut? He just needed a little space. Good morning, America. Good afternoon, Europe. And welcome, everyone, to our live stream. Let me know how you're doing in the comments box below, guys. And if you like what you see, like, share, subscribe, and support us in delivering more great content. New week, new beginnings. And this being said, we start the broadcast today with the earnings season, which is reaching its peak today. Yesterday, we saw Tesla reporting good earnings per share, but the revenue forecast disappointed, sending Tesla share price down 2% on concerns about the underlying profitability of its car-making business. But hey, when you make over $100 million on Bitcoin, who cares about anything else? Other companies due to report early include Amgen, Texas Instruments, Eli Lilly, General Electric, and 3M, while Starbucks, Visa, and AMD are set to report after the closing bell. The Federal Reserve kicks off a two-day meeting today, which is expected to result in no change to policy, but may produce a change in the Fed's guidance as signs of recovery become clear. Also, the interest rate decision will be announced tomorrow afternoon, and traders will be looking for any hints coming from the Fed Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell ahead of the data release. Palladium, copper, soybeans, corn, and wheat all gained considerably, highlighting again the importance of soft commodities on the global market. Some of them even reached 9-year highs. And Bitcoin, guys, everyone's favorite, trades close to $55,000 today, correcting almost 50% after the sharp drop over the weekend. Chart analysis, pre-US markets open, coming up. Right, welcome back, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Let's have a quick look at the earnings calendar, guys, as the economic calendar is quite poor today. And so it was yesterday, but it starts picking up towards the end of the week. So for now, let's focus a bit on the earnings season and the earnings calendar. We see Microsoft and Alphabet still waiting to report. We see Visa waiting to report. Eli Lilly already reported 187 in terms of earnings per share, below what consensus was predicting of $2.13. We saw the revenue disappointing a bit, 6.81 billion versus an expectation of almost 7 billion. Now we see UPS reporting almost double, guys, $2.77 versus an expectation of 171. And in terms of revenue, 22.91 billion versus 20.56 billion predicted by consensus. Amgen and Starbucks are still expected to report after the closing bell. We see General Electric reporting already 0.03 per share versus an expectation of 0.01. And in terms of revenue, we see again a bit of disappointment, 17.12 billion versus an expectation of 17.53. 3M reported green figures for 3M, $2.77 in terms of earnings per share versus an expectation of 2.3, and 8.85 billion revenue versus an 8.44 expectation by consensus. Okay, good day for earnings. Let's have a quick look at what's happening with stocks. We see Tesla, GE, and Eli Lilly fall pre-market, and UPS rises. Let's have a quick look at the stocks, guys. Once I managed to kill these pop-ups, there we go. So Tesla stock fell 1.9% after the electric car maker required the revenue from the sales of Bitcoin and regulatory credits to pad out net income of 438 million. While that was a record, average vehicle selling price declined 13%. Right, General Electric dropped 2.2% after the industrial conglomerate reported a 20% fall in quarterly profit, hit by a slump in demand for aircraft engine maintenance as airlines struggle to recover from a pandemic-led collapse in travel. UPS, guys, rose 7.2% on the other hand after the world's biggest parcel delivery company topped estimates for quarterly revenue, benefiting from a surge in online purchases during the COVID-19. Eli Lilly fell 3.9% after they posted a 7% fall in quarterly profit. 3M rose 1.2% after the company, which makes N95 face masks, posted a hefty rise in first quarter profit. Today, benefiting from strong demand for its personal safety products. GameStop, guys. GameStop. Who missed GameStop? Right, that makes one of us. GameStop rose 11% after the video game retailer raised $551 million through an equity offering in order to accelerate its shift to e-commerce. British Petroleum ADRs rose 1.8% after the oil majors' profit more than tripled in the first quarter. Hsbc also rose 3.3% after the UK-based bank beat quarterly profit forecast and released $400 million. UBS stock fell 2.7% after the Swiss banking giant took an unexpected $774 million hit from the collapse of Archegos, overshadowing forecast beating 14% rise in quarterly net profit. Snap fell 1.5% after the social media company announced the sale of a $1 billion convertible bond offering. And Lyft, guys, rose 3.1% after the ride-hailing company announced the sale of its self-driving technology unit to Toyota for $550 million, helping it save $100 million in operating expenses. So this is what is happening in the markets today, guys. Let's have a look at the charts and see what is expected to happen at the U.S. markets open. But before that, please allow me 30 seconds to catch my breath.
Discover how some of the top executives are trading their own companies with our Insider Trades tool. See who's been buying or selling stock and what their trades say about insider sentiment. Use this unique big data tool to make more informed stock trades. That's higher trading from MarketsX.
Right, guys, back with the charts of the day. Good afternoon, everyone. I see more people joining us as we speak. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, type your questions. And remember, InstructFX is offering free mentoring for 2 weeks for anyone that wants to get started on the financial markets. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type your questions to either one. Yeah, either MarketsX or InstructFX. Now, let's have a quick look at the charts, see what's happening with crude oil WTI this afternoon, 62.34. As we speak, we saw that double bottom happening a few days ago. We see crude oil recovering about 50% from the drop. Let's not forget, later on today, we're going to have the API crude oil data, and tomorrow we're going to have the crude oil inventories. So expect the markets to range for a bit, guys, and you might see some changes happening tomorrow. The Euro USD, guys, the most traded currency pair in the world, is trading this afternoon at 120.77 after started picking up in the last couple of hours on the European trading session. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. We're still 1 hour ahead of the U.S. markets open. Okay, as for now, we see a retest of that 50 MA down there. Yeah, you can see the last red candlestick. If we're going to see a bounce from that and the next candlestick will be red, then we might be seeing the euro strengthening a bit today and continuing the uptrend. Okay, because if you look at the charts since these two moving averages crossed, we can see an uptrend starting. So the question remains, will the uptrend continue or not? Moving on to the cable this afternoon, guys, which is currently trading at 138.97. The cable has been ranging for the last few trading sessions. We see the price, however, well supported by the 200 moving average as well as the 50. We saw that retest, okay, that bounce from the 50 moving average minutes ago. We're looking at the RSI turning around, though, from the 58% mark. Okay, we might see a retest of that 200 MA, considering the structure of the market, which, even though it's creating higher lows and higher highs, okay, it's still very, very shy. Apparently, it's looking for a catalyst. It's looking for something to happen to get a sense of direction. Meanwhile, we see the USD JPY pair trading a bit higher, 108.30 this afternoon for USD JPY. Very daring movement for the US dollar, retesting that 200 moving average and pushing through that 200 moving average. We might see it strengthening this afternoon. If the candlestick formation manages to settle above the 200 MA, guys, then it's only a matter of time until we might see a bit of a correction. And in times like this, traders usually aim for the 100% correction that happened there. Moving on, we're looking at the Aussie dollar, which is moving in the same direction with the European currencies and gold many times. 0.7780 this afternoon for the Aussie dollar versus the US dollar. We saw it trading lower since the markets opened on Sunday evening. Again, I'm not going to be surprised if we're going to see a retest of that 200 moving average to the downside around the 0.7743 mark. And looking at the bottom, we see the RSI pointing downwards, indicating a bit of selling power on the market. We're looking at the USD CAD, which is apparently finding it a bit difficult to move lower, to move below the 123.86 level or somewhere in that region. Okay, and it might be pointing towards that 50 or the 200 moving average to the upside, even if it's just a retest, guys. There's more potential as we speak for a retest of either that 50 or the 200 MA than it is for the USD CAD pair to continue the downtrend, at least for now. But remember, guys, the markets are unpredictable and anything might happen. The S&P 500 closed the day in green once again yesterday, establishing a new record high. How long will this continue for is the question. I wish the same could be said about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which, if we look carefully from the technical point of view, we can see something that looks like a triple top up there, which usually implies a bit of selling power, a bit of a meltdown in the price. Once again, looking down here, we can see this gap still not being closed, guys. So I would not be surprised if we're going to see a retest of that 200 MA to the downside. 33,456 is the key level where the 200 moving average is. But before we get there, we're going to have to keep an eye on the 33,729 level, which is the previous low. Very interesting to follow what's going to happen with the Dow Jones Industrial Average and how it's going to open today after the U.S. markets open. Now, we're looking at the U.S. dollar index strengthening somehow in the last 24 hours. Still, it did not manage to create higher highs, which is a bit worrying. The 200 moving average is still weighting heavily on the direction of the US dollar index, which entered the downtrend, guys, on the 6th of April at 10 o'clock, and it didn't stop since. But what do we know? If the US dollar goes down, gold futures are pushing higher. 1,782 flat for gold futures this afternoon. We can see gold trading sideways, ranging a bit, but the price is well supported by that 200 moving average. We saw a retest of that 200 moving average 4 or 5 times so far, and slowly we can see the candlesticks consolidating above that 50 moving average, which might give us a bit of confidence, a bit of buying power for gold. Looking at it on a daily chart, we can see it just bounced from that 200 moving average. Now the question remains, will we see it pushing through that 200 moving average and establishing above, which indicates a bit of buying power, or it will continue the downtrend? It's going to start ranging again. Again, it's a daily chart, so we can't tell for sure right now. Right, Tesla, guys. Tesla, which disappointed a bit yesterday. We're looking at $738.20 for Tesla. Very little movement, guys. Very little movement on the market for Tesla. And Bitcoin, everyone's favorite, is currently trading very close to the 55,000 mark. $54,920 and $39 for Bitcoin as we speak on the Bitfinex exchange. We see the candlesticks consolidating above that 200 moving average, and we also see a gold cross to be formed by the 50 and the 200 MA, which again implies a bit of buying power on the market. Now, Bitcoin has only recovered about 50% from that huge drop that it suffered over the weekend. There we go. That's the big drop. This is the 50% mark, somewhere there in that region. And we can see the Bitcoin correction, being somewhere in the 40% mark or so. Very close to the 50% mark. Now, if we're going to see this level being broken, then we might say, okay, Bitcoin is going to shoot higher towards the 64. Who knows? Why not? The 65,000 once again. But if Bitcoin price is going to get rejected from here, we might see it continuing the downtrend that it entered on the 13th, 14th of this month. Ethereum, on the other hand, is doing much better than Bitcoin. Who would have thought that a few months ago, guys, when Bitcoin was the only one that was driving the crypto markets? Now we're looking at Ethereum driving the crypto markets, trading at almost all-time highs once again, $2,558.50 for Ethereum, which also dropped a bit over the weekend, but it corrected much faster than Bitcoin. Very choppy trading session for Ethereum on the European trading session, guys, but the signs are there. Ethereum is getting stronger and stronger. Now, it's a matter of breaking this all-time high. We're very, very close. If Ethereum will manage to break this all-time high and the candlesticks will settle above this level, then we could easily say that we might see $3,000 happening very, very soon. The RSI is trading quite high in the region. We see it not being able to reach the oversold levels since the 23rd. Yeah, since the 23rd at midnight, since 4 days ago. Okay, so it's all good for now. Now, let's have a quick look at technical analysis. Let's see how investing.com sees the markets today. Remember, guys, after the U.S. markets open, we might see a reversal, okay, of what happened on the European trading session. So it's very, very important to take that into consideration. Right, Euro USD neutral on a 5-minute chart with strong buy indications on a 15 minutes hourly and daily. The pound the same versus the US dollar. Okay, strong buy indications on 3 out of 4 time frames. We see the USD JPY with a strong buy indication on a 5-minute chart. USD CHF just a shy buy on a 5-minute chart with 3 strong sell indications, including the daily one. Okay, so we don't know exactly what's happening with the US dollar. We're looking at the euro weakening a bit versus the British pound with 3 strong sell indications and the daily remaining a strong buy. So you can try and trade it short term if you want, but bear in mind the daily still remains a strong buy. So do your technical analysis and see what's happening from there. And if it makes sense, you know what you have to do. USD CAD strong buy indications on a 5-minute and a 15-minute chart with a daily remaining a strong sell. So once again, it might be interesting to trade short term. No one can guarantee anything as long as the daily remains a strong sell. And as we get towards the bottom of the chart, we see the pound weakening versus the Swiss franc with red all over the charts. And the euro weakening somehow versus the Swiss franc as well with 2 strong sell indications, but with the daily remaining a strong buy. Quick look at commodities, guys. Let's see what's happening with commodities this afternoon. There we go. We see a bit of green, a bit of positivity. Nothing is really happening with gold and silver until the U.S. markets open. At least this is what investing.com shows us. We see copper, again, strong buy indication on a daily, but nothing really happening in between. But on the other hand, guys, crude oil, WTI, and Brent oil indicate 4 strong buy on all 4 time frames. Natural gas also indicates a strong buy on all 4 time frames. And the US wheat, which has been trading sky high for a few trading sessions, is finally correcting a bit with 2 strong sell indications, but with the daily remaining a strong buy. This is it, guys. This is it. If you need more trading signals, please remember our sponsors and trading partners at markets.com do have an amazing trading platform that provides you the trading signals straight on their web trading platform, including the source, okay, and the levels as well. Very, very interesting. Now, I see gold and silver just changed, guys, the signals just a second. So we're looking at green all over the charts for commodities this afternoon. Once again, gold, silver, strong buy on all 4 time frames. Crude oil, WTI, and Brent oil still with strong buy indications, and natural gas strong buy on all 4 time frames as well. So when currency pairs are not doing that well and they're trading very, very choppy, then you might look at commodities, guys. Look at other asset classes. Remember, the earnings season is at its peak. Sometimes my mouth and brain don't coordinate. So earnings season at its peak. Yeah, it might be an interesting time to trade a few stocks, guys. Also, remember the 5 asset classes: Forex, commodities, indices, stocks, and cryptocurrencies. Right, this is it from my side today, guys. Join me again tomorrow for a new round of market talks, and let's see what's going to happen. Until then, remember to trade responsibly and may all your trades be in the money.